In tennis, there's this kind of hidden playbook that separates the good players from the truly great ones. And it's not about hitting the ball harder, it's about hitting it smarter. Today, we're going to crack open that playbook and get into the real science behind winning.
You know that feeling, right? That perfect, clean winner that just paints the line, and your opponent can only watch. It's the shot we see on TV, the one we all chase in practice. But let's get real for a second. How many points actually end like that in your matches? The truth is, the way most points are decided is a whole different story.
And here it is, the brutal, honest truth. This quote from Brain Game Tennis says it all. The baseline, the place we spend most of our time, well, statistically, it's a nightmare. So the answer isn't to just stay back there and hit harder. Nope. It's about changing the very geometry of the court. It's about learning when and how to move forward. Okay, so first, let's really break down this problem. Why do we call the baseline a trap? Why is just staying back and rallying statistically a losing strategy? Get ready for a number that might just change how you see the game forever. A massive 70% of all points in professional tennis. They don't end with some amazing winner. They end with an error, a simple mistake. And guess where most of those mistakes happen? Yep, from the baseline. So think about what that means for a second. When you're just trading ground strokes from the back of the court, you're not really in a battle of who can hit the best shot. You're in a waiting game. You're basically playing a game of chicken to see who's going to miss first. So if staying back is the trap, how in the world do we escape it? Well, it all starts with learning to recognize one single moment in a rally, the short ball opportunity. So how do you spot your chance? Look for these signs. Are you moving inside the baseline? Is your opponent maybe a little out of position? And here's the big one. Can you hit the ball above the height of the net? If you're checking those boxes, that's your green light to attack. If you're behind the baseline, hitting up on the ball, you're defending. This right here should become your mental checklist. Is the ball short? Yes. Can I hit it above the net? Yes. Am I already moving forward? Yes. Boom. That's the trigger. That is your signal to take control. All right, so you've seen the short ball, you've made the decision to go. Now let's get into the science of how to actually do it. How do you execute that approach shot for maximum effect? I'm going to let you in on a secret. Real power doesn't come from your arm. It comes from the ground. It's something called the kinetic chain. Just think of it like a wave of energy that starts in your feet, moves up through your legs and your core, and then finally explodes out of the racket. That's the engine behind every single powerful shot. And here's what that chain looks like in action. You start with recognition and a quick split step. Then, and this is so important, you take an explosive diagonal first step. You're not just running straight ahead, you're moving to cut the ball off. Then you hit the ball with all your momentum flowing forward, and you just keep that flow going right up to the net. Okay, so we've got the when and we've got the how. Now let's talk about the where. This is where tennis really becomes a game of chess. It's the strategy, the placement that turns a good approach into a great one. So there's this key strategic idea called Ward law directionals. Now, in simple terms, it just means that the safest shot is usually to hit the ball right back where it came from, so cross court to cross court. But attacking is all about breaking that pattern. It's about changing the ball's direction, and that usually means hitting it down the line into all that open space. And you don't have to take my word for it. The numbers absolutely prove it. The data shows that when you attack a short ball, going down the line gives you a way higher chance of winning the point than going cross court. And why is that? It's simple. You're giving your opponent way less time to react and a lot more court to cover. Okay, you've done everything right. You recognized the short ball, you moved in perfectly, you picked your spot. Now for the fun part, the reward. This right here, this is the number that changes everything. Once a pro player makes it to the net, their chance of winning that point shoots up to almost 70%. The net isn't a scary place, it's the finish line. So let's just put those two big numbers side by side for a second. At the baseline, there's a 70% chance the point ends in an error. But by moving forward, you create a situation where you have a nearly 70% chance of winning. You literally flip the odds completely in your favor. That is the power of the attack. So look, the data is crystal clear. The geometry is proven. The science backs it up. The baseline is where points are often lost, and the net is where they're won. The only question left is for you. The next time you play, are you going to move forward?